The small boy promised, "I will marry you when I big up." A few years later, he returned with a ring. Marcus Chen was 8 years old when he first saw someone made of living crystal. He was playing with his toy spaceship in the courtyard of New Geneva Colony when a strange light caught his eye. The light was soft and blue, like moonlight dancing on water. He looked up and saw her. The girl was about his age, but she was different from any person Marcus had ever seen. Her skin looked like clear crystal with tiny lights moving inside it. When she moved, soft musical sounds came from her body. Her hair was like silver threads that glowed in the sunlight. "Wow," Marcus whispered. He had never seen anything so beautiful. The crystal girl was sitting alone under a big tree. She looked sad. Around the courtyard, Marcus could see other crystal people talking with the human adults. They all looked worried and tired. Marcus walked over to the girl slowly. He did not want to scare her. "Hi," he said in his small voice. "I'm Marcus. What's your name?" The crystal girl looked up at him with big eyes that sparkled like stars. For a moment, she did not say anything. Then she spoke in a voice that sounded like wind chimes. "I am Zira," she said. "I am from the planet Valen." "Where is that?" Marcus asked. "Sitting down next to her on the grass." "Very far away," Zira said sadly. "It is gone now. Bad people destroyed it." With big weapons, Marcus felt sorry for her. He knew what it was like to lose something important. Last year, his pet dog had died, and he had been very sad. "I'm sorry," Marcus said. "Are you okay?" Zira shook her head. "My people are dying. Without our home planet, we cannot live for long. We need special crystals to stay alive, but they were all destroyed." Marcus did not understand everything she said, but he could see that Zira was in trouble. He wanted to help her. "Can't the doctors here help you?" he asked. "They try," Zira said. "But human medicine does not work for us. We are too different. Our bodies need music, special sounds that only our home crystals could make." As she spoke, Marcus noticed that Zira's light was getting dimmer. The musical sounds from her body were getting quieter too. "How long can you live without the crystals?" Marcus asked. "Maybe 1 year. Maybe 2. No one knows for sure," Zira said. "My family hopes to find help on other planets. We will leave tomorrow." Marcus felt his heart get heavy. He had just met Zira, but he already liked her. She was kind and smart, and her crystal body was the most amazing thing he had ever seen. "I don't want you to leave," Marcus said. Zira smiled, and her crystal face glowed a little brighter. "I do not want to leave either, but we have no choice." They sat together quietly for a while. Marcus watched the other crystal people, the Villani, Zira had called them. There were maybe 20 of them, all different ages. Some were very dim, like old light bulbs that were burning out. Others still had bright lights inside them, but even they looked tired and scared. "Tell me about your planet," Marcus said. Zira's eyes got dreamy. "Valen was beautiful. We had crystal forests that sang in the wind. The whole planet made music all the time. Different crystals made different notes, and they all worked together like a big orchestra." "That sounds amazing," Marcus said. "It was our life," Zira explained. "The crystals did not just make pretty sounds. They kept us alive. Every Villani needs to hear the right music to stay healthy. On our planet, we always had the right sounds. Around us," Marcus thought about this. "So you're like a musical people?" "Yes," Zira said, laughing a little. "We are people made of music and light." "That's so cool," Marcus said. "I wish I could see your planet." "I wish you could too," Zira said sadly. "But it is only dust and rocks now." Marcus felt angry at the bad people who had destroyed Zira's home. He wanted to do something to help her and her family. "There has to be a way," Marcus said. "Smart people can figure out anything, right?" "My dad says humans are really good at solving problems." Zira shook her head. "Many smart people have tried. The Galactic Science Council says it is impossible. Our crystal technology is too complex. No one understands how to make new life crystals." "But someone has to try harder," Marcus said. "They have tried for many years," Zira said. "Before our planet was destroyed, my people asked for help. Scientists from many different planets worked on the problem. They all failed. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he looked at Zira with serious eyes. "I will help you," he said. Zira looked surprised. "You're just a little boy." "I won't be little forever," Marcus said. "I will grow up and become smart. Then I will figure out how to make the crystals you need." Zira smiled, but it was a sad smile. "That is very kind, Marcus. But even if you become the smartest human in the galaxy, it might not be possible." "I don't care," Marcus said firmly. "I will find a way." Something in his voice made Zira look at him more carefully. Even though Marcus was small, there was something strong in his eyes, something that would not give up. "My people have a tradition," Zira said slowly. "When Tivulani want to marry, the boy must give the girl a life ring, a special crystal that will keep her alive and healthy forever. It shows that he can take care of her." "Okay," Marcus said. "Then I will make you a life ring." Zira stared at him. "Marcus, that is not how it works. You are human. Humans cannot make life rings, and we are just children." Marcus stood up and looked down at her. Even though he was small, he stood as tall as he could. "I will marry you when I grow up," he said, "and I will make you the best life ring ever." Zira's crystal body began to glow brighter. She could feel something special about this moment, something important. "Do you promise?" she asked. "I promise," Marcus said. "I will find you, and I will save you and all your people." The next morning, Zira and her family left New Geneva Colony. As their ship disappeared into the stars, Marcus stood watching until he could not see it anymore. His father came and put a hand on his shoulder. "That was a very big promise you made." His father said. "I know," Marcus said, "and I'm going to keep it." From that day on, Marcus Chen had only one goal: to keep his promise to a crystal girl who needed a miracle. 5 years had passed since Zira left New Geneva Colony. Marcus Chen was now 13 years old, but he had not forgotten his promise, not even for a single day. Every morning, Marcus woke up thinking about crystals and sound waves. Every night, he fell asleep reading books about alien biology. His room was filled with papers covered in drawings of crystal structures and mathematical equations. He barely understood. "Marcus, you need to play with kids your own age," his mother said one evening. She was worried about her son. While other children played games and watched movies, Marcus spent all his time studying. "I am doing important work, Mom," Marcus replied, not looking up from his computer screen. He was reading a research paper about Villani physiology, written by a scientist from the planet Altair. "You're just a boy," his mother said gently. "You should be having fun." Marcus finally looked at her. His eyes were serious, much too serious. "For a 13-year-old, the Villani don't have time for me to have fun," he said. "Every day I wait, more of them die," his mother sighed. She remembered the crystal girl who had made such an impression on her son. She had hoped Marcus would forget about his childhood promise, but instead, it seemed to grow stronger every year. At school, Marcus was known as the weird crystal kid. His teachers were amazed by his knowledge of advanced science, but they were also confused. Why would a human boy care so much about an alien species that most people had already forgotten? "Marcus," said Dr. Hayes, his science teacher, "your understanding of harmonic frequencies is incredible, but maybe you should focus on subjects that will help you get into a good human university." "I am focusing on what matters," Marcus replied. "Sir, did you know that Villani crystal structures vibrate at frequencies that human ears can detect, but most alien ears cannot? I think that's important." Dr. Hayes frowned. "What do you mean?" Marcus pulled out a tablet and showed his teacher a complex diagram he had created. "Look at this data from the Galactic Science Council," Marcus said excitedly. All the scientists who tried to help the Villani were from species with logical, pattern-based hearing. They hear sounds in straight mathematical lines. "Yes, that's how most advanced species process audio," Dr. Hayes said. "But humans are different," Marcus said. "We hear music. We hear emotions and sounds. We can detect patterns that don't follow perfect mathematical rules." Dr. Hayes looked at the diagram more carefully. Marcus had taken the same data that had puzzled alien scientists for years and marked it with colored lines that showed hidden patterns. This is actually quite interesting, Dr. Hayes said slowly. Where did you learn to analyze data like this? I taught myself, Marcus said. I've been studying everything I can find about the Villani for 5 years. That evening, Dr. Hayes called Marcus's parents. Your son has discovered something that might be significant. He told them, I think you should take his work seriously. Marcus's father, James Chen, was a former military engineer. He had been watching his son's obsession with quiet concern. That night, he sat down with Marcus to look at his research. Show me what you've been working on, James said. Marcus's eyes lit up. Finally, someone wanted to see his real work. He pulled out boxes of notes, diagrams, and computer files. Dad, look at this, Marcus said, spreading papers across the kitchen table. Everyone thinks the Villani crystals work like computer chips, very precise, very logical. But I think they work more like musical instruments. James studied his son's work. Marcus had been collecting every piece of information about the Villani that existed in human databases. He had analyzed their crystal technology from every angle. These patterns you found, James said, pointing to one of Marcus's diagrams. How did you see them when professional scientists missed them? Because I listened to music. Marcus said simply, when I look at the data, I don't just see numbers, I hear the rhythm. The Villani crystals aren't just making any sounds, they're making music. That keeps their bodies alive. James was quiet for a long time. His son was talking about concepts that most adults couldn't understand. But more than that, Marcus seemed to understand something fundamental that others had missed. What's your plan? James asked. Marcus took a deep breath. I want to build a device that can create the same music as Villani crystals. But instead of using their crystal technology, I want to use human audio engineering. That sounds very difficult. I know, Marcus said. But Dad, I have an advantage. Human brains process sound differently than alien brains. We might be able to create the right frequencies in ways that aliens can't. James looked at his son's determined face. Marcus wasn't just dreaming anymore. He was developing real scientific theories. Okay, James said. I'll help you. Together, they turned the garage into a laboratory. James used his engineering skills to help Marcus build his first experimental devices. They were crude and simple, just basic sound generators connected to small speakers. The first attempts were disasters. The devices made terrible noises that hurt their ears. Neighbors complained about the weird sounds coming from the Chen family garage. But Marcus didn't give up. After each failure, he studied what went wrong and tried again. The frequency is wrong, Marcus would say, adjusting his equipment. It needs to be more alive. What do you mean, alive? James asked. Villani crystals don't just play the same sound over and over, Marcus explained. They respond to the person listening. They change and adapt. I need to make a device that can do that too. Month after month, Marcus worked on his project. He studied human music theory and combined it with alien science. He learned about brain waves and how they connected to sound processing. Slowly, his devices began to improve. The sounds they made became less harsh and more musical. They still weren't right, but Marcus was getting closer. One day, while testing his latest device, something amazing happened. The machine created a sound that made Marcus feel peaceful and energized at the same time. It was only for a few seconds, but Marcus knew he had touched something important. Dad, he called excitedly. I think I found it. James ran into the garage. Found what? The feeling. Marcus said, his eyes shining. For just a moment, my machine made me feel the way Zira described feeling on her home planet. Like the sound was feeding my soul. James looked at his son with new respect. Marcus wasn't just playing with gadgets anymore. He was creating something that might actually work. That night, Marcus called the Galactic Science Council and asked to speak with someone about Villani research. I'm sorry, the alien voice said. Through the communicator. The Villani project was closed 2 years ago. There is no funding for further research. But I think I found something new, Marcus said. Are you a certified scientist? The voice asked. No, I'm 13 years old. There was a long pause. Then the alien laughed. Child, many brilliant scientists have tried to solve this problem. It is impossible. But what if I'm right? Marcus asked. Then you would be the most important scientist in the galaxy, the alien said, still laughing. But that is not going to happen. After the call ended, Marcus sat quietly in his garage laboratory. Around him were his homemade devices and scattered research papers. Most people thought he was wasting his time. But Marcus remembered Zira's glowing face and her musical voice. Somewhere in the galaxy, she was still alive, still waiting. I'm coming, Zira, Marcus whispered to himself. I promised. And I keep my promises. He picked up his tools and went back to work. Marcus Chen was 17 years old when he discovered something that would change the galaxy forever. It happened on a quiet Tuesday evening in his garage laboratory. 9 years after he had made his promise to Zira, the garage looked very different. Now, what had started as a simple workspace was now filled with advanced equipment. Marcus had built dozens of prototype devices over the years. Some hummed quietly in corners. Others sat broken and forgotten on shelves. The walls were covered with charts showing sound waves, brain patterns, and crystal structures. Marcus sat in front of his latest creation, a machine he called the Harmonic Resonator Mark 47. Like all the others before it, this device was supposed to create the life-giving sounds that Villani people needed, and like all the others, it had failed. What am I missing? Marcus asked himself, staring at the data on his computer screen. He had been working on this problem for 9 years. He understood Villani biology better than most alien scientists. He knew exactly what frequencies their bodies needed. His machines could produce those frequencies perfectly, but something was still wrong. The sounds his devices made were correct, but they were empty. They had no life in them. Marcus rubbed his tired eyes. He had been working for 18 hours straight, trying to solve this puzzle. His parents had gone to bed hours ago, but he couldn't stop. Somewhere out there, Zira was running out of time. As he sat there feeling frustrated, Marcus noticed something strange. His latest device was still running, making its careful, precise sounds. But there was another sound in the room too, very quiet, almost too quiet to hear. Marcus listened carefully. The second sound was coming from him. It was his heartbeat. That's weird, Marcus said to himself. The resonator is picking up my heartbeat. He looked at his computer screen and saw something amazing. The machine's sound waves were changing slightly, following the rhythm of his heart. It was as if the device was trying to match his body's natural patterns. Marcus felt his excitement growing. What if that's it? He whispered. He had always thought that Villani crystals worked like perfect machines, making the same sounds over and over. But what if they were more like living things? What if they responded to the life around them? Marcus started typing quickly on his computer, pulling up all his research about Villani biology. As he read through the data with new eyes, patterns began to emerge that he had never seen before. The crystals don't just make music, Marcus said, his voice getting louder with excitement. They listen to the music of life itself. He realized that on their home planet, Villani crystals had been surrounded by living things, plants, animals, and the Villani people themselves. The crystals had been constantly adjusting their sounds to match the life patterns around them. But all the artificial life support systems that scientists had built were just machines. They made perfect sounds, but they had no consciousness, no life force to guide them. Marcus looked at his reflection in his computer screen. Human consciousness. He said slowly, that's the missing piece. He had read about studies showing that human brains created unique patterns of electrical activity. These patterns were chaotic and creative, completely different from the logical, predictable patterns of most alien minds. What if those chaotic human brain patterns were exactly what Villani crystals needed to guide them? Marcus worked through the night, redesigning his harmonic resonator. Instead of just producing sound, the new version would also monitor his brain waves and use them to guide the frequency patterns. By morning, He had built a prototype that was unlike anything anyone had ever tried before. It was part sound generator, part brain scanner, and part adaptive computer system. Okay, Marcus said to himself, let's see if this works. He put on the brain monitoring headset and activated the device. At first, nothing seemed different. The machine made the same kinds of sounds as before. But then Marcus began to think about Zira. He remembered her crystal face glowing in the sunlight. He thought about her musical voice and the way she had described her home planet. Suddenly, the sounds coming from his machine began to change. They became warmer, more alive. The frequencies shifted and flowed like a real conversation between the machine. In Marcus's thoughts, it's working, Marcus breathed. It's actually working. The device was reading his brain patterns and using them to create exactly the kind of adaptive, living sound that Volani crystals had once made. For the first time in 9 years, Marcus had created artificial crystal music that felt truly alive. Marcus called his father into the garage. Dad, you have to see this, Marcus said, his face glowing with excitement. James Chen looked at his son's latest creation. What makes this one different? It thinks, Marcus said simply. Watch. Marcus activated the device again, as it began producing its harmonic sounds. He thought about different emotions, happiness, sadness, excitement, peace. Each time his thoughts changed, the machine's music changed too, creating sounds that matched his feelings perfectly. This is incredible, James said. But how do you know it will work for the Volani? Marcus smiled. Because human consciousness is chaotic and creative, just like the natural systems on the Volani home planet. Our minds can provide the random, living patterns that their biology needs. Over the next few weeks, Marcus refined his invention. He built it into a small ring-shaped device that could be worn like jewelry. The ring would monitor the wearer's life patterns and create personalized harmonic frequencies to keep a Volani person healthy. He called it a life ring. When Marcus felt confident that his invention was ready, he contacted the Galactic Science Council again. I told you years ago, the same alien voice said. The Volani problem cannot be solved. I solved it, Marcus said calmly. I have a working life ring. There was a long silence. Then the alien laughed. Impossible. You are still just a human child. I'm 17 now, Marcus said, and I can prove my device works. Fine, the alien said, sounding annoyed. Send us your data. Marcus transmitted all his research to the Galactic Science Council. He included videos of his life ring working, detailed explanations of his consciousness-based technology, and mathematical proofs showing why his approach succeeded where others had failed. 3 days later, his communicator rang. This time, the voice on the other end sounded very different, surprised and respectful. Mr. Chen, the alien scientist said, we have reviewed your work. This is revolutionary. You have not only solved the Volani crisis, but you have opened up entirely new fields of scientific research. Does this mean you believe me now? Marcus asked. We want to meet with you immediately, the scientist said. What you have accomplished should be impossible. Human minds are not supposed to be capable of this level of consciousness-based engineering. Marcus smiled. Maybe that's exactly why we can do it. Sometimes being different is an advantage. Within a week, scientists from across the galaxy were traveling to New Geneva Colony to study Marcus's invention. They confirmed that his life ring technology worked perfectly, better than the original Volani crystals in many ways. But more importantly, Marcus's breakthrough had proven something amazing about human consciousness. While alien minds were logical and predictable, human minds were chaotic and creative. That chaos, which aliens had always seen as a weakness, was actually a powerful tool for creating adaptive, living technology. As Marcus watched the alien scientist studying his work, he felt proud of what he had accomplished, but his real goal was still ahead of him. Now I need to find Zira, he said to himself, looking up at the stars. I have a promise to keep. The life ring in his hand glowed softly, ready to save the life of the crystal girl who had waited for him for 9 long years. Marcus Chen was 22 years old and famous across the galaxy. His face appeared on news broadcasts from 100 different worlds. Scientists called him the miracle maker and the savior of the Villani, but Marcus only cared about one thing: finding Zira. It had been 5 years since his breakthrough with the life ring technology. In that time, Marcus had become the youngest person ever to receive the Galactic Medal of Science. Universities offered him teaching positions. Governments wanted him to work on their most important projects. Marcus said no to all of them. He had only one goal. "Sir, the president of the Earth Federation wants to meet with you," said Sarah Martinez, Marcus's assistant. She was trying to keep track of all the important people who wanted Marcus's attention. "Tell him I'm busy," Marcus said, not looking up from his computer. He was studying a map of known Villani settlements, trying to trace where Zira's family might have gone. "Marcus, you can't keep ignoring everyone," Sarah said gently. "Your life ring technology has saved thousands of Villani lives. People want to honor you." "The only honor I want is keeping my promise," Marcus replied. Marcus had spent the last 5 years building a network of life ring distribution centers across known space, every major space station, every colony world, every refugee center now had the equipment needed to create life rings for Villani people. The results had been amazing. Villani who were close to death had been brought back to full health within days of receiving their life rings, but more than that, Marcus's technology had allowed the Villani to do something they had never done before: adapt and grow on their home planet. The Villani had been limited by their natural crystals, but Marcus's life rings could evolve and change, creating new frequencies that helped the Villani develop in ways they never could before. Some Villani were growing brighter, some were developing new abilities, and some were even beginning to change color. "They're not just surviving," Marcus told his father during one of their weekly calls. "They're becoming something new and better." "That's wonderful," James Chen said. "But have you found any trace of Zira yet?" Marcus's face fell. "No. It's like she disappeared completely." The problem was that the Villani had been scattered across the galaxy for over 14 years. Many had changed their names to fit into human or alien societies. Some had tried to hide their crystal nature to avoid discrimination. Others had simply died before Marcus's technology could reach them. Marcus had created a database of every Villani person who had received the life ring. The list now contained over 8,000 names. He studied each one carefully, hoping to find some clue about Zira or her family. "Maybe she doesn't want to be found," Sarah suggested one day. "She promised to wait for me," Marcus said firmly. Zira wouldn't break a promise. But as the months passed, Marcus began to worry. What if Zira had died before his life rings could save her? What if she had given up hope and chosen to end her suffering? What if she had forgotten about the little human boy who had made her an impossible promise? Marcus pushed these dark thoughts away and worked harder. He expanded his search network, offering rewards for information about Villani who matched Zira's description. He studied refugee records from a dozen different star systems. He even learned to speak several alien languages, thinking that Zira might have changed her name to something non-Villani. One day, while Marcus was reviewing settlement reports from the Kepler system, he received an unexpected message. It came from a Villani named Keth, who had received a life ring 3 months earlier. "Marcus Chen," the message said, "I know you are looking for someone. There's a Villani woman working on Kepler Station who speaks of you sometimes. She says she once knew a human boy who made promises about impossible things." Marcus's heart started beating fast. Could it be her? He whispered. He immediately sent a message back to Keth. "What is her name? What does she look like?" The reply came quickly. "She calls herself Vera now. She works as a translator. She refuses all offers of life ring treatment. She says she is waiting for someone special to bring her the right one." Marcus felt excitement and fear at the same time. After all these years, this might be the clue he had been searching for. "Sarah," Marcus called, "book me passage to Kepler Station immediately." "Are you sure this is her?" Sarah asked. "I have to find out," Marcus said. "If there's even a chance." Marcus spent the 3-day journey to Kepler Station preparing. He created a special life ring, one designed specifically for the Volani girl he remembered from his childhood. He used every memory he had of Zira's voice, her light patterns, and her personality to customize the device. But as his ship approached Kepler Station, Marcus began to worry. It had been 14 years since he had seen Zira. Would she remember him? Would she still care about a promise made by an 8-year-old boy? More importantly, would she still be alive? Kepler Station was a busy trading post near the edge of human space. Ships from dozens of different species docked there every day. The station was crowded, noisy, and full of people trying to make quick deals before moving on to their next destination. Marcus walked through the corridors, asking about a Volani translator named Vera. Finally, a helpful station worker pointed him toward the communications center. She works in level 7, the worker said. But I should warn you, she's not very friendly to strangers. Marcus's hands were shaking as he rode the elevator to level 7. In his pocket, he carried the special life ring he had made. After 14 years of searching, he might finally be about to keep his promise. The communications center was a large room filled with translation booths. Each booth had thick walls to block out noise, allowing translators to focus on their work. Marcus walked slowly between the booths, looking for any sign of Volani crystal light. Then he saw it, a faint blue glow coming from the last booth in the row. Marcus walked closer and looked through the small window. Inside the booth sat a Volani woman whose crystal body was very dim, as if her inner light was almost gone. She was speaking into a microphone, translating a conversation between two alien traders. As Marcus watched, the woman turned slightly, and he could see her face. Even though she was older and much dimmer than he remembered, Marcus knew immediately who she was. Zira, he whispered, after 14 years of searching. Marcus had finally found the crystal girl who had been waiting for him to keep his promise. Marcus stood outside the translation booth, his heart beating so fast he thought it might break. Through the small window, he could see Zira working. Her crystal body was much dimmer than he remembered, like a star that was slowly dying. But even after 14 years, he would have recognized her anywhere. He knocked gently on the booth door. "Please wait," came a voice from inside. It was musical, like wind chimes, but very quiet now. "I will be finished in 5 minutes." Marcus waited, clutching the special life ring in his pocket. He had dreamed of this moment for so many years. What would he say to her? What if she didn't remember him? Finally, the booth door opened. Zira stepped out, carrying a small bag of translation equipment. She looked tired and moved slowly, as if each step took great effort. When she saw Marcus standing there, she stopped suddenly. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. "Marcus?" she whispered. "Is it really you?" "Hello, Zira," Marcus said softly. "I told you I would find you." Zira's crystal face began to glow a little brighter. Even in her weakened state, she could feel something special about this moment. "You grew up," she said, and Marcus could hear amazement in her musical voice. "I promised I would," Marcus replied, "and I promised something else too." Zira's eyes filled with tears that sparkled like tiny diamonds. "Marcus, you were just a little boy. I never expected you to actually." "I keep my promises," Marcus said firmly. He pulled the life ring from his pocket and held it out to her. "I made this for you." Zira stared at the small device in Marcus's hand. It looked like a simple ring made of metal and crystal, but she could feel something powerful coming from it. It hummed with a gentle energy that made her feel warm inside. "But how?" she asked. "The Galactic Science Council said it was impossible. They said no one could ever recreate our crystal technology. They were wrong," Marcus said with a smile. "It turns out that humans have something special. Our consciousness is chaotic and creative in ways that help us understand life better than logical alien minds." He explained how his life ring technology worked, how it used human brain patterns to create adaptive, living sound frequencies. As he spoke, Zira's crystal body began to glow brighter with excitement. "You mean you didn't just solve our problem?" she said slowly. You found a way to make us better than we were before? The life rings don't just keep Vellani alive, Marcus explained. They help you grow and change in new ways. Some Vellani who wear them have developed amazing new abilities. Zira looked at the ring again, then back at Marcus. Why did you do all this? You could have forgotten about me and lived a normal human life. Marcus reached out and gently took her crystal hand in his, even though her body was dim and weak. Her skin still felt warm and musical. Because I loved you, Marcus said simply. From the moment I met you, I knew you were special, and I promised to marry you when I grew up. Zira laughed, and the sound was like silver bells ringing. You still want to marry someone made of crystal and starlight. I want to marry the kindest, smartest, most beautiful person I've ever known, Marcus said. I don't care what you're made of. With shaking hands, Zira took the life ring from Marcus. The moment she touched it, the device began to glow with warm light. It was reading her life patterns and preparing to save her. Will it hurt? She asked. No, Marcus said. It should feel like coming home. Zira slipped the ring onto her finger. Immediately, soft music began to play, not from speakers, but from the ring itself. The music was perfect, exactly matched to Zira's crystal biology. The change was incredible to watch. Zira's dim crystal body began to brighten like a sunrise. The lights inside her skin started dancing again, flowing in beautiful patterns. Her silver hair began to shine, and her eyes sparkled like stars. But more than that, Zira looked stronger and healthier than Marcus had ever seen her. The life ring wasn't just keeping her alive, it was helping her become more than she had ever been before. Oh, Marcus, Zira said, her voice now strong and clear. I can feel it working. It's like my whole body is singing again. Marcus smiled, feeling happier than he had ever felt in his life. How do you feel? I feel like I could live forever, Zira said, looking at her glowing hands in wonder. This is even better than our original crystals. It's like having a piece of living music with me always. Other people in the communications center had stopped working to watch. They had never seen a Vellani person transform so dramatically. Word began to spread through the station that something amazing was happening. Within hours, news of Marcus and Zira's reunion was traveling across the galaxy. The story of the human boy who had spent 14 years keeping a promise to an alien girl touched hearts on 1,000 different worlds. But Marcus didn't care about the fame. He sat with Zira in a quiet corner of the station, watching her crystal body glow with new life. What happens now? Zira asked. Now we get married, Marcus said with a grin. If you still want to. Zira laughed, and her whole body sparkled with joy. I've been waiting 14 years for you to ask me properly. Zira, Marcus said, getting down on one knee like humans did in old movies. Will you marry me? Yes, Zira said, pulling him back up to his feet. Yes, I will marry the most stubborn, brilliant, wonderful human in the galaxy. As they held each other, Marcus thought about everything that had led to this moment. His childhood promise had driven him to become one of the greatest scientists in galactic history. His love for one crystal girl had led him to save an entire species and open up new fields of science. But most importantly, he had learned something about humans that even he hadn't expected. When humans made promises from the heart, there was no force in the universe that could stop them from keeping those promises. I love you, Zira, Marcus said. I love you too, my promise keeper, Zira replied, her crystal face glowing with happiness. Around them, the galaxy continued to spin. On distant worlds, young humans were inspired by Marcus's story to make their own impossible promises. Other species began to understand that human determination could achieve miracles. And somewhere in space, alien children were learning that when a human says I promise, they really mean it. Marcus Chen had kept his word. The small boy who had promised to marry a crystal girl had grown up to change the universe. And it all started with a simple promise made in a moment of pure, innocent love.